Hey, this is Robert. On my last video, I was wanting to just expand a little on creating safety in the system, or attempting to explain what that is for me. And I think it started with just becoming aware that I was not satisfied where I was at in my life a few years back. And so I came across these coaches, and they talked about creating a practice, a presence practice, and disconnecting from the mind and dropping into the body. And at the time, I didn't really understand what that meant. And I guess a way of explaining that would be just, if you just breathe in for 3 seconds and then breathe out for 6 seconds, and you do that a couple of times, it just kind of calms the system. So a presence practice is just becoming aware of the body and dropping into the body. I think prior to a couple of years ago, I was attempting to figure out the mind from the mind, and the thing that has changed now is that I drop into the body in order to understand what's going on internally. And from the first couple of times that I did that, other than recognizing that, my insides are just kind of like locked up. I I noticed that when I got into connection with my internal self, I guess, that there was an internal knowing. And when I dropped into that, it was like it connected the dots for me through my life. It was like, oh, this is not the first time I have felt this sensation. And I think my my body had been attempting to communicate with me for probably 50 years plus. Let's just put it that way. And more like, my whole life. It was just, I had gotten so used to, the story that I'd been telling myself, that I just assumed that that was the only story and that was true for me. And so it was when I began to question the story, and I began to, sit in presence with other people, that, somehow, some way, it created safety in my system. And through putting in those repetitions, like, developing a meditation practice, and just dropping into the body on a regular basis just to see what was going on internally. That was what kind of changed things for me. And it wasn't an overnight process by any means, although the subtlety of it was, is what my coaches were recommending that I paid attention to. So when I did that, the changes were noticeable. And so I just I kept doing it, because I definitely was ready for a change. And I think what ultimately happened was that my perception changed enough for me to recognize that, there's something happening here. And I started showing up in my world a little, with a little less fear and a little less intimidation. and I started noticing that, when something, was activated in, say, my solar plexus, that I wasn't responding in the same way that I had in the past. And so when that activation occurred, what ultimately, began happening was I would just kind of have a little conversation and say, "Hey, you know what? We will sit together later." And in my presence practice, I would honor that by sitting with that part later and developing trust within my own system. And so yeah, I think that's the best way that I can explain a process of creating safety in the system, just through putting in the reps and paying attention to what's changing, however small that may be. And thank you. Hope that helped.